Hon, we're late. We are so late. I can't believe it.
For what?
You can't remember back in April what we were supposed to do?
No.
We were supposed to review your Escalade.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's only 4 months late, so call it more like a year and a half of ownership. We are about to review our 2022 Cadillac Escalade Sport Platinum. Let's go. Today's video is going to be completely unscripted, but we are going to review her 2022 Cadillac Escalade Sport Platinum. This is either going to be the best or the worst review on the internet of this vehicle because we're going to talk about what we love and what we hate about it. And as a full-time driver, she's going to point out all of her opinions and I'm going to decide if I agree or disagree with them. Let's start with the walk around. All right, I'm going to lead this discussion. Let's start with the front of the vehicle. Now, we didn't change a bunch here other than the wrap. This is an all black vehicle, so there's that. But we did change out these badges. Originally we went monochromatic, and then we went with the all black badges. Which ones did you prefer?
I like those ones, but I did like the monochromatic ones, I think, better.
Yeah, so the monochromatic ones are kind of a silver, and then they have black inserts throughout, where this is all black. And the one that comes with it has chrome and then all the different colors that come with the Cadillac emblem. Which I personally like it like that.
Yeah, I don't like the colored one, but I do like the monochromatic one better.
Okay, great. So I think we could agree and move away from the front end. We like it. We love the looks.
Yep.
Bold.
It's nicer than my last one.
Nicer than the last generation. Obviously all the sensors, the camera tech, all very nice to have, nice conveniences. What do you think of the wheels that came with it?
I like these ones.
Yeah, I'm okay with them. I do wish that this was black and not kind of that bluish dark gray.
Oh.
But they're stock wheels. What do you do?
We can always get me some new ones.
We're going to take this opportunity to talk about a dislike, and that's these steps. Now, it's not that we don't like the steps, but sometimes when you open the door, they come out like they're supposed to. But I would say 1 out of 100 times, they just don't come out for whatever reason.
Yeah, mostly on the passenger side. And when you're short, it makes a big difference trying to get in this vehicle.
Yeah, so randomly, these steps will not open, or I guess they'll always close, but they just won't open when you want them to. And another thing, for the person who washes the vehicle all the time, it's nice if they could be out like this when you wash it. So there is a setting in the instrument cluster that takes a bunch of steps to get to keep them in the open position just for car washing, but it's cumbersome. It should just be a quick button, like an override. I think that's what it should have, and not have to go through a complicated menu to get the steps to stay out just for washing. Maybe there's the ability to add an icon to the home screen so you do have it readily available. I just haven't found that yet. Now these handles, unlike my GMC Sierra, there's normally a button here to unlock if you're in close enough proximity with the key, but there's a button in here that you can touch to open the door, and I actually like it. You, on the other hand, sometimes you go to grab the door and you end up locking it as you're trying to get in. I've never had that problem. I call it coordination.
I don't know. I have such a hard time with those handles. I don't like them.
I love them. Best handles ever.
Wait, so that little Cadillac thing, I can lock it with that?
You can lock it with that, yes. And then the unlock you can just pull on here.
I had no idea that this was anything. Like this is something?
Yeah, see, you just locked it.
What? This whole time.
She's learning stuff. See, these reviews are good because you can learn.
That's probably why I hate them so much.
Did you know that's probably what you're doing, is you're probably touching it and locking it and not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, because sometimes the doors aren't unlocking this time.
It only took us a year and a half, but now we're fully educated on the door handles. Today's video is brought to you by Pedal Commander. Are you tired of that dead spot in your pedal when you initially accelerate?
Do you want confidence in knowing that you'll be able to pass somebody safely on the highway?
Or maybe you just want to tone down the throttle aggression because there's a new driver or someone not comfortable behind the wheel. Or maybe you're like Mrs. Dawn's life.
And you just want your vehicle to go.
So regardless of your reasons, Pedal Commander will take care of all of those concerns with a simple plug-and-play interface and without occupying your OBD2 port. If you want to learn more about Pedal Commander and how it can enhance your relationship with your vehicle, check out the information in the video description below. Now let's get back to the video. So the next one's the front mud flaps. If you have the retractable steps, you can buy rear mud flaps, but you can't get front ones because the way they're designed, this would end up making contact with it. It surprises me that they didn't find a way to mold it so maybe this would just go maybe an inch back and then you could still have the mud flap, because this does get gummed up quite a bit with mud, and it's unfortunate because it could have been avoided.
So let's talk about opening the back hatch. This button is a game changer, no handle. If you have full hands, you can even use your elbow.
Or your face.
Your forehead if you need to.
Yeah, I like that for sure. I think it's definitely an aesthetic enhancement. Now if you look down here, there's an LED projection of the Cadillac symbol there.
You just opened it.
My hand ended up opening it by putting it in the way, but its intent is to put your foot under there and sway it back and forth and it'll open the door. So now that it's closed, we'll do a real world test with Mrs. Dawn's life, swinging her little legs in front of that light and watch it open.
No.
Try again for the good luck. Oh, it worked.
We did.
It worked. So that time she had her tongue sticking out the side of her mouth and it worked fine. Now let me talk about something that I hate. I hate the mats that they have available as an optional accessory for this vehicle. So let me just show you a little bit how they connect. So they got these little sticky pads here, which have already kind of worn off. The adhesive is already ripped up from the fabric here. The fabric's nice, but these things just kind of lay under this pad. They have this little accordion thing here. And the idea is that they're flexible, so when you lay it down or when you come back up, they'll stay in place. Well, I've had to stick these on here a number of times. I'm surprised they're sticking right now. But what you'll find is when you fold down the chair, if I put any weight on here and this comes up, it's all bunched up now. And what happens now that there's pressure on here, it's going to end up pulling this apart. And it's just going to be laying flat on the ground one day, and you're going to be frustrated that you paid hundreds of dollars for these things and they don't really work that well. One more example of how this is annoying: if I take some groceries and I have to slide it across here, it just bunches up, and you know, it's just a catastrophe. Look, those aren't even holding on anymore. It's just annoying. I think they're junky.
So we're agreed, it's complete garbage.
So something that you have to have though is the cargo net. It is very convenient, easy to use, easy to take out. But we use this all the time, especially stops goods from falling out. When you open the hatch, it stops things from rolling down and landing on the ground. And while we're here at the back of the vehicle, there are a couple of areas that are just the worst to clean. Now this isn't limited to the Escalade, this is pretty much all SUVs, but all the dirt and the grime that accumulates in here, and then the dirt and the grime that accumulates in here. So you can see I haven't done my husband duties lately, and this isn't very clean. So one gripe that I have, but for Mrs. Dawn's life, it hasn't really impacted her life negatively, but I work quite often in the garage. This parks daily in the garage. Like many new vehicles, if you have a key fob in proximity to the vehicle, as it gets closer anyway, it will turn on a bunch of lighting, welcome lights will come on. In some cases, a bunch of the electronics will wake up. That's exactly what this does. The problem I have is I could have this key fob sitting 6 feet away, and if I just bump it a little bit on my workbench, everything on the truck wakes up. What's even worse, I might not even have this key fob nearby. She might move her purse just from one shelf inside the door to the other inside the house, and the truck keeps waking up all night. So if I'm in here doing a project or filming a video, the truck just randomly wakes up, and it's quite annoying. I think it's time to bring this to the inside of the vehicle. Again, this review is about what we like or don't like or love and hate about the vehicle, and we may have differing opinions. I'm not going to go through all the different settings, all the technology the vehicle has. This is a top-of-the-line Cadillac Escalade. It's got everything you can want, but we will talk about some of those things if we love them or hate them.
So let's start with how cool these doors are. You don't even need to really close them. They self-latch themselves.
Now the downside to that is every vehicle that she goes in other than this one, like my GMC Sierra AT4, is she never closes the door properly. So number one issue so far, and this is a new issue, is this keeps coming up, and if you call OnStar, even though the vehicle is registered, we're paying for some services, this keeps coming up. We put in the valid password and they can't help us, nobody can.
And even though we hit do not remind me, it will still come on tomorrow.
So I'm gonna start with something that I dislike, but I think it's one that you share. We have 4 air vents up at the front here. Those ones are okay. You got 2 for the passenger, you got 1 over here for the driver, and you got this big one in the middle. But for some reason, if I want to get the cold air just right on my face right here, if I go all the way to the left, I can't feel it all. If I go just a millimeter this way, now it passes me. I just can't find that sweet spot. It does exist, but it is a real exercise in adjustments just to get the cold air or the warm air right where you want it. And this is the biggest vent in the vehicle. I think when they designed the cabin in here, they're like, well, if we just make this bigger, then it should allow for more airflow and it won't be that big a deal. Well, it is. I can't quite get it right, and it's annoying.
I agree with you on those ones, and these ones, they're not much better. They're still really hard to adjust and get to the point where you want them.
Yeah, well, you would think it would be better. I think they went for styling over function. They still work, but they could be better. So the next one, this one upsets both of us because it's really annoying, but we have my phone here, we have her phone, so his and her phones, black and pink, go figure. But mine's set up as Donnie, hers is set up as Mom's because you're a mom. And what happens is, hers is set up as the first to connect phone, so it's the primary. I'm making calls from my home office, she pulls into the driveway, it disconnects her and starts playing my call on her speakers in the vehicle. But I'm the secondary device, so it really doesn't make sense. Now, there's also been the odd time where we're driving both vehicles down the road, and mine's set up as primary in my GMC Sierra, hers is primary in here, and I'll get a phone call and it'll connect to her truck ahead of me and start playing in her vehicle, even though we're 50 feet apart. So in presentation, it looks like it's all going to work well, but some of the Bluetooth connectivity is just a mess when it comes to the phone calls and some of the Bluetooth music. It all works, but as soon as you start adding extra phones into the mix, it can get pretty complicated and messy. Next, I'm going to talk about the entertainment system in the vehicle. It's very nice when it all works. And what I mean by that is in the previous model years to this one, this is a 2022, they used to have the ability that when you plugged in a USB drive with compatible media on it, say compatible video files, you'd be able to play them and control them directly on these screens. Not anymore. They've taken that feature out. They only have HDMI input to get your signal to the TV. Lucky for me, I have one of these, and I review these type of things on my channel. I can plug in this USB stick. I can hook up an HDMI cable. And now we have the ability to play whatever we want on the screens. So whether it be Netflix, whether it be video files, now I can play all the videos that I want.
I've been riding the desk for the past 6 years, trying to figure out where our future enemies are coming from. Official SHIELD Act.
Now once you get your videos working the way that you want to, what is cool, if you only have a device hooked up to one screen, you can share it onto both screens with the press of a button. Next, I'm going to demonstrate something that I love, and that's the massage seats. There's a dial on the side of your seat. If you rotate it forward, it looks like this. It brings up your massage menu, and then you just use the toggle and you pick what type of massage you would like and its intensity. So I like wave as an example, and now I get this nice ripple effect, this wave up my back, giving me a nice massage for 20 minutes. Then you have to pick if you want it to go again, and there's a quick button you can just hit and it'll turn it on again on the same setting. But the downside is there's no massage on the bottom cushion. I've been in a vehicle before where there was a massage option on the bottom cushion, and that's pretty cool. This doesn't have it. And one of my favorite features is Super Cruise. So on roads that are mapped, you can push the Super Cruise button here. I'm just waiting for it to see where I am on the GPS. Now it's on, it's turning green, and I can let go when it's driving itself. Who doesn't love this feature? I think it's great. It works really well, but there's a catch. So this vehicle, when we optioned it out, you didn't have the ability to not pick Super Cruise to enjoy some of the other options. Well, the problem is now they want to start charging, at least in the near future, to have Super Cruise even work. So we were forced to add it, and now we're going to be forced at some point to pay a fee to keep using it. I don't think that's right. I think if you have to pay for the feature in your vehicle above and beyond.
And it wasn't a cheap feature, like it was a...
No, it was like $2,160 Canadian, if I remember correctly, which we didn't really plan as part of the build when we first spec'd it out. Either way, we had to get it. Now we're gonna have to start paying for it at some point if we want to keep it.
We weren't sure about ordering this with the Whisper Beige interior, but I knew I didn't want another black interior, and it's held up pretty good.
Pretty good.
Just don't wear dark colored blue jeans or your seats will get stained, and otherwise everything else wipes off with just some water and a rag. So this concludes our review of our 2022 Cadillac Escalade, our likes and our dislikes so far.
So on that note, if you like today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.